So then what? What is going to happen after the United States ends the war? What's going to happen when Russia backs out of the war? Well, there are going to be a couple things that are going to happen. First and foremost, we will eventually call an armistice. An armistice is a agreement to stop fighting between warring parties. You can also add the word ceasefire or truce. Truce is spelled Truce. They're going to say they're going to stop fighting, or we're going to cut it out, like we got to end this war, okay? A couple things are going to happen. Wilson is going to create the 14 points. When you think of Woodrow Wilson, you need to think of World War I. WWWW1. That's how I always remember it. It'll help you. Now, Wilson is going to create 14 points. Now, there are only 4 on the screen, but this is just to sum it up in a nutshell for you. Wilson's 14 points are going to call for a reduction of weapons. Why do you think that they need to reduce the weapons, okay? What was the first thing that got everybody started in the war? What is the first main cause? It starts with an M. I'm going to let you fill that in on your paper. Also, he's going to state that a country's government or people should choose the country's government, which is the concept of self-determination. Self-determination. You need to fill that in your notes. Your people determine what type of government they want to choose for their nation. Okay? Last thing, or a couple things. He's going to create an international organization. Actually, that has a typo right there. An international organization. And it's going to be called the League of Nations. This is supposed to support peace and prevent wars, okay? What you need to understand about the League of Nations, it is a great idea, but it is a dog with a big bark and a little bite, okay? What you need to understand is that the League of Nations will be based in Geneva, Switzerland. They desire to prevent wars and keep people from starting more world wars. They do not have the funding or the military to back up that aspect, so the League of Nations will not be as successful. Now, the leader of France, Kamanchalu, will want Germany to suffer. France has been consistently beat down by Germany during the whole war, and they're going to be bitter, as well as other nations, because when we talk about World War I, the first group to militarize was Germany. Okay, and Germany was very aggressive in World War I, and a lot of nations after the war see Germany as the problem. Now, what will happen is there will be a Treaty of Versailles, named after the palace in France. What you need to understand about the Treaty of Versailles is that it consists of 440 clauses. Clauses are like issues or what is being addressed. 26 of them address the League of Nations. 414 of them decide and speak about how Germany should be punished. I want you to write that down. There are 440 clauses. 26 of them deal with the League of Nations and establishing the League of Nations and its purpose to protect peace, prevent world wars. 414 of those clauses talk about Germany being punished. How do you think that's going to affect German culture? How do you think it's going to affect Germany as a nation? These 414 clauses are going to try to break Germany. Now, here are a couple things that it's going to state. Germany must pay war reparations. Reparations, if you don't know what that word means, you go ahead to dictionary.com and look it up right now. And they need to admit full responsibility for the war. They've got to pay back the debt that was caused. The German military will be limited in size. They will have to cut down their military. Why do you think that everybody wants Germany to cut down their military? What is the purpose of that? Think about it. Germany must return land to France and Russia. Any of the land or bounty that they took from France and Russia, the gains, they have to give those lands back to those nations, Russia and France as well. Poland will become independent. Germany will also have no control over the Rhineland that they previously owned. They'll have to give that up. Now, when you think about Poland, I want you to think Poland will become independent, and they will get to use that concept of self-determination to decide their government. Germany's colonies in Africa, okay, will be divided up against the Allied powers. So if you look here, it's kind of interesting that the Allied powers said, okay, well, Germany, you're out of control, so you can't own any land, but we'll just own your land, and it'll help us become more powerful. The League of Nations will be established. Germany is not allowed to join. That is an example of them ostracizing Germany. If you notice this trend, and I want you to think about it, the League of Nations is meant to keep peace. It's meant to prevent war. By ostracizing means like kicking out or not allowing Germany to participate in this League of Nations, it's going to cause some resentment and bitterness. This is foreshadowing. Think what's going to come next after this, World War I, okay? The U.S. Congress refuses to participate. It's very interesting that we refuse to participate because Woodrow Wilson created the idea of the League of Nations, but with no military to back the League of Nations and the money's not there, the League of Nations is not going to be successful, and we want no part of it. It's like I said before, a dog with a serious bite, and when you get up to that dog, they have no teeth. Austria-Hungary and the Ottoman Empire, because they were part of the Central Powers. Remember, these two were aligned with Germany. They will be divided up into new nations, new countries. So you'll have Austria, Hungary, Yugoslavia, Czechoslovakia, and Turkey. Okay, that's why we call Turkey like Istanbul, current-day Turkey, originally was the Ottoman Empire. A couple other things are going to happen. Britain is going to issue the Balfour Declaration. That is going to take some land from Palestine and create Israel, which is a nation for the home, and then give the Jews a homeland or somewhere they can identify, because they're all of the same culture, but they have no nation to reside in, no country to reside in. So the Balfour Declaration will make a home for the Jews, which is current-day Israel, and they will take the land from Palestine. That has caused some extreme tension and wars between Palestine and Israel. Now, what's going to happen by the end of the Treaty of Versailles is that Germany is going to be extremely humiliated. Its economy is going to be decimated. And pretty much what's going to happen is that it's going to go downhill. Germany's not going to have any money because they're consistently paying back the debt. Their people are going to suffer. And what's going to happen is that Germany gets into a very dark, dark place in the world. The people are heartbroken. The people have no hope. And what you need to understand is that there are times when leaders rise up and they seem like a very dark light or a bright light in a very dark world. And Germany's headed into a dark area because of these 414 clauses that punish them for being a nation that started a war. And what you need to understand is that there will be an individual that will pop up that will be bright and shiny and show them light at the end of the tunnel. And it's going to come into play later. And I want you to think about that with that statement that I'm leaving you off with. Make sure you fast forward, rewind, pause as you need to, but make sure you definitely get those notes filled in.